Hey, beauty, if you feel like you want to improve your health, but you don't know where to start, if you feel like you can't do it because it's too hard, or you feel like you don't have enough time, or whatever excuse you may have, this is the episode for you because I remind you that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. God has made your body and your mind very adaptable. So I hope that you enjoy this episode and that it will encourage you to keep moving forward for improvement of your health. If you want to move away from modern medicine, if you want to discover healthier alternatives for your family, if you want a healthy body, then you're in the right place. Hey beauty, I'm Alexandra. I'm an author and clinical research nurse who discovered that Jesus is the source of true healing. I am the Lord your healer. Exodus 15:26. Have you ever thought about how amazing breast milk is? I talk about this in my book, Discover God's Health Wisdom, exposing 8 common myths that keep you sick. I find it fascinating that the composition and quantity of breast milk changes depending on the time of day and the age of the baby. The breast milk also changes to protect the baby from threats in his specific environment. I breastfed all 3 of my kids, and in the first year of their lives, they were so healthy, and I think it was because they were fed liquid gold breast milk, which was created by God. The body is fearfully and wonderfully made. The body is so adaptable. It's designed to heal, as Dr. Ben Rawl says. He was on my show in a previous episode. Not only is the body adaptable, I believe that God made our minds adaptable. In other words, I believe that the body and the mind are really resilient. I was thinking about this the last month when it was pretty cold in Florida. I think it got down to the 30s. It was pretty cold for about 2 weeks. I'm from Chicago, so I've lived in Chicago in the Midwest for most of my life, so you would think that I'd be used to the cold, right? Well, since we moved here in 2021, we've really gotten used to the warm weather in Florida. So when the temperature was a little colder, I really felt it and it really bothered me. When it was in, I think, the 50s one day, a bunch of us were sitting outside our homeschool co-op, and we were all in wearing blankets or kind of heavy jackets. We were shivering, and one of my friends said that if a person from another state came and saw us, they would think that we are ridiculous because it's so cold in other parts of the world. And also, when my kids were swimming in the pool, when it was in the 70s, I had a sweater on, and my dad, who also lived a lot of his life in Chicago, asked what I was doing because he said it was so warm and why was I wearing a sweater? Basically, when I was living in the Midwest, my body adapted, right? I got used to the cold. A lot of people in Chicago, not a lot, but some people still wear shorts when it's 55 degrees outside. And so, since it gets so cold in Chicago and it's cold a lot of the time, I got used to it. But then when I moved to Florida, my body got used to being so warm all the time. And so when it gets cold, I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to the cold now. But I'm sure if I had to move back to somewhere where it gets colder, my body would adapt and get used to sub-freezing temperatures again. But now, when it gets into the 30s in Florida, it feels like it is that cold. It feels like it's freezing outside when it's really not. Going back to the example of breastfeeding, once a mom starts to decrease the amount of time that she breastfeeds, or when she stops breastfeeding, the body changes accordingly. It stops producing as much breast milk and eventually it stops. In kind of a similar way, when I lived in Chicago, both my body and my mind got used to living in the cold, but once my body and my mind did not have to live in such a cold environment, my mind didn't feel like I could adapt to the colder weather, which was really only 55, 50 degrees, 30 degrees at the lowest. So thinking about this, moving from Chicago to Florida, not being used to cold weather anymore, like I said, it just made me think about how resilient and how adaptable God made the body and how adaptable and resilient our minds are. I believe that our our God made our bodies to do amazing things. And yes, when we get older, our body starts to break down. Maybe we're not as sharp mentally as we used to be. But part of the reason that happens is because we automatically slow down because we think that we have to. We stop stretching ourselves. So just like the body knows that it doesn't have to produce breast milk anymore, if you're not working out, if you're not stretching, if you're not doing some strength training, you're basically telling your body, okay, we're getting old. We don't need to lift anything heavy anymore. We don't have to run. We don't have to be active. We don't have to use our minds like we used to. So, of course, just like the body turns off the production of breast milk, the body also doesn't have a need to stay strong or to stay mentally sharp. So, we start to lose our strength and we start to lose our mental sharpness. The truth is, no matter how old we get or no matter how we feel, we can still work on our health. We can still learn new things. We can still train our minds to be sharp, to learn new things. I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I know a woman who is now in her 70s. In her 60s, she started doing martial arts and now she teaches it. She's also a widow who took in 3 teenagers as they were her foster children, and she has recently adopted them. So you might think that when it comes to your health, you don't know where to start, or you're not consistent, or whatever your excuse may be. The truth is that God made your body very resilient. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Your body and your mind are very adaptable. And also, I can pretty much guarantee this, even though I don't know you, you have done hard things before, whether it be passing some hard classes in high school or college, whether it be starting a business, whether it be being a mother, that's super hard, or working for most of your life, dealing with difficult relationships, forgiving someone, having financial issues, and coming out okay at the end. You have certainly done hard things in your life, so you can certainly improve your health. I encourage you to prioritize your health because your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. And sometimes it just starts with one healthy habit. I've said this on the podcast before too. When I started to prioritize my health, there was a coworker, someone that I worked with, he said that he cut out pop from his diet and he lost a lot of weight. Well, when he told me that, I didn't need to or want to lose weight at the time, but I realized that cutting out pop was a really good idea because, because of all the sugar in the pop and it doesn't have really any nutritional value and it's not even real sugar. So what I did was I started cutting out pop from my diet and now it's just become a part of who I am. I really only drink water and tea mostly, most of the time. I'm not saying you have to cut out pop. I'm not even saying that you have to make a dietary change. There are so many things that you can do to improve your health. But I just want to remind you that it's not too hard. Some people get stuck thinking that I can't improve my health because I've never done it before. I'm inconsistent. I had a client who said that she can't prioritize her health because she never saw her mom doing it. Her mom didn't take care of her body, and so she said she learned her health habits from her mom. But what's the truth? The truth is we are not our parents. We are not our past. If we feel like we failed before, that's in the past. We just tell ourselves these lies and we just believe these lies. We've told ourselves these lies for so long that we think that this is who we are, but it's not who you are. You are a child of the Most High God. You can do all things through Him who gives you strength. That's a Bible verse. As I said before, your body and your mind are just so adaptable. You're so resilient. That's how God made you. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. You were made in the image of God. And think about that. You were made in the image of God. So you are an image bearer. There is something about you that is like God because God created you. You were made in his image. So I just wanted to remind you of that today. If you are feeling discouraged on your health journey, if you don't know where to start, or if you've been on this journey for a while, I just wanted to encourage you with these truths. Remember, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. There is evidence that your body and your mind are very adaptable. You can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. Thanks for listening today. I wanted to remind you of my free guide. If you have not downloaded it yet, go to herholistichealing.com/free to download my free gift for you. It's called Holistically Healthy Woman: 4 Steps to Move Away from Modern Medicine for Christians. There are so many good questions in this guide to help you on your health journey because health is not just about the perfect diet or working out the right amount. There's so much more to health that we don't talk about. There are so many things that are affecting our health right now. So go ahead and download your free guide, herholistichealing.com/free, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for listening today. If you like what you heard, would you take a minute to leave the show a review? If you want to connect with me, you can join me in my free community. The link is in the show notes, or go to herholistichealing.com. Matthew 11. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls.
For you, it's easy and my burden is light.
This content is for informational purposes only and is not meant to be medical advice.